The following episode of Dad vs. Daughter was made possible by a contribution from Asmodee. Hello and welcome to another episode of Dad vs. Daughter. I'm Tim the Dad.
Megan the daughter.
And today we are playing Timeline Challenge. This is from Asmodee, and if any of you have been watching the other timeline games that we have done so far, some of this is going to seem very familiar, but some of it is not. This is a board game, and there are challenges, hence the title, that you're going to be doing throughout the game. You start up here, and you go around the circle until you get to where the checkered flag is at. And the way you do that is by winning challenges. Now, we have a number of challenges. Megan, do you want to talk about the different challenges that we have?
Sure. So the first challenge we have is Timeline 4, which is down here in the green. So we will put 4 cards out here, like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and guess up above where they fall in our timeline. So we have numbers up here, so number 5 is between 1750 and 1820. So if you think that the invention of beer was in between this era, you'd put number 5 on your handy dandy time dial down here. So you get that, and it will correspond to the shape that it's on. So the circle would be 5, and then triangle would be your guess, and then square and the star, like so on and so forth. So then you get a point for each one that you guessed correctly up above. So if you had 2 out of the 4 right, you'd move 2 spaces ahead, and so on and so forth. The next one we have is the bet, that is over here in the red. And what you're going to do is you secretly guess your bet on what you think that specific card is on the timeline. So you can get multiple answers. So if you think that is in between 3, and you're really sure that's in between 3. Okay, I'm changing the numbers on you, sorry. But you think it would be 3. You can guess 3 twice. And then you can be able to get 2 points for that. So it's in if you guessed 4 and 2, that wouldn't be right, so you wouldn't get those points. So you can bet multiple times for that one.
Yeah, basically what you're doing is you're betting on your answer. And here, if I did choose 3 twice, I'm saying, well, I'm 50% sure that it's 3, but it could be higher or it could be lower. So I'm going to kind of cover my bet, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if it is 3, then I'm going to get 2 points and move two spots on the time wheel.
Yep.
There. If it's a 4, then I'll get 1 point for that, or if it's 2, I'll get 1 point for that.
So the next one we have is the split up here in the blue. So what you're going to do here is every player guesses the difference in years between the 2 cards. So again, on your dial, you're going to guess what you think the difference is, for this case, back to the invention of beer to the creation of Agnor V.
Yeah. So just for the sake of argument, I'm guessing that the difference between those is 127 years.
So what you do, you flip them over, calculate that number. Whoever is the closest would move ahead 4 spaces. So that's a very big
That's a
jump.
difference of 7,000 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was way off.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because the person that's closest to that difference is the one who's going to get the points.
Yep. So the next one we have down in the bottom is combination. So again, you're taking 4 different cards off your stack, you're putting them here, and you're only looking at these 4 cards. And what you're going to do is guess which order do you think they came in, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 being the oldest and 4 being the most recent. So you're going to correspond again with the shapes on the bottom here, and that's going to be what your guess is.
Okay.
So
just for the sake of argument, I'm going to guess that the order is 1, 4, 2, and 3.
So then you flip them all over, and you have these little tokens here that basically you put down to signify that this was the first, second. So the first is the oldest.
So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So then you look back on your board and you compare numbers.
So I would have had
1.
2 of them. I got
2,
that one
yeah.
right. So I would get 2 points for that and move forward 2 on the time wheel.
So everyone would get a point for that, but then whoever is first still gets to determine the challenge. The last one we have here is the right date. And going again with only looking at 1 card, you're going to program on your the correct date you think will show up on here. So you're going to get a point for every number you have correct in that position. So for argument's sake, you are choosing it is 1137. You flip it over and it is 1130.
So I would get 3 points for that because I have 1, 1, 3, and then I missed that one.
Yep. So you get 3 points when you move ahead 3 spaces. So that is all for the trials or the challenges. And then whoever is first to cross this line here, you go into sudden death. And we only do that challenge in a 2-player.
No, you do it actually in both.
Everyone, yeah.
Yes.
We don't do
in a 2-player,
more or less.
There's actually 2 challenges. There's the sudden death, and then there's the more or less. The more or less we don't do in a 2-player. So we'll talk about that more in our review. But the first player that crosses that is going to basically initiate that challenge. And then, so if you're familiar with normal timeline, you kind of play a little mini game of that. So the player that's in last place will take a card and flip it over. And so that's 15, 25. So the next player then decides where it's going to go. Okay?
So then let's say, for some reason, I think the breathalyzer is before the invention of the musket, and I put it there. It's wrong.
You're
I'm out.
And then, so if you are in the lead in a 2-player game, nothing happens.
Nope.
But if you are trailing and you win, then you get to move 3 spots. So it's kind of an equalizer type of thing where the person that's behind can catch up. And that's the same thing with the more or less challenge.
I think that's it.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to shuffle up the cards and we will play. Okay, so as Megan explained in the setup, we go off of whoever is the first player or the furthest player on the little clock here. So we both start on the green spot. So the timeline 4 is the first challenge that we will do.
So our first cards here are the invention of rope, the invention of the spade, the invention of the dam, and the invention of dominoes.
Okay, so we have to choose which number on the timeline up top that those correspond to. Now we're both done. We show our boards and we flip the cards to find out what we had. Oops. Okay, so we'll start with the circle. That is at minus 6,000.
4,000.
Oh, 4,000.
That is at negative 4,000.
Negative 4,000. So that would be 0 when we both guessed 1. So we're both wrong there. No points. The next one is at minus 1,500, which would also be 0. And we both got wrong on that.
Yep.
The next one is minus 2,500. Wow.
0.
Can't believe that.
Dude,
I had 0 on that
there
one.
you go.
So I get 1 point. And the last one is 1120, which is 2, right?
Yep.
And I was off by 1. Missed it.
Oh, I guess 7.
So now what we do is those cards get discarded.
Yep.
And now we go off of the player that's in the lead, which is me, which is actually a shock because Megan kicks my butt at this game. So we go to the right date.
Yep, and this is the invention of the barcode.
I said 1962.
1946.
Survey says
1952.
1952.
10 years off.
So
I was
I'm gonna
closer, but
So we're gonna get 2 points because we both said 19. I had the 2 part right, so I'm gonna get another point.
Yep. So that was it for that one.
Yep. So
we get to the split.
Yep.
So we have Lancelot du Lac.
And the Lady of the Lake.
And the invention of the bikini.
So now what we got to do is we got to figure out what is the time difference between those two. So it's not even a matter of knowing the dates. It's just a matter of how many years you think.
Guess.
I
guess 2,500.
I guessed 1,003.
Okay, so I have a calculator ready.
We have 1168 and 1946.
778. You would be closer.
So I was closer, so I actually get 4 points, or I get to move 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm not used to this.
Okay, so now I've crossed the sudden death. So now, Megan,
we play timeline.
You're going to be the one who can catch up. If I get it right, I'm not even going to be able to do anything except keep you from moving.
So our first card is the invention of the jukebox, which was in 1889.
Okay, so now it's on me to figure out where the next one goes.
Invention of the dictionary.
Dictionary, I think, was before 1889. So I say 1502. There we
The
go.
invention of the toothpick. I'm going to say it was before the invention of the dictionary. 1416.
Okay, you're still good.
The invention of the Christmas nativity scene.
Oh, I'm going to say that was before 1416. And it was at 1223.
The first saloon.
First saloon.
I'm going to say it was around the toothpick. It just feels like a Western.
1841.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
you're way off.
I don't know.
So since I won and I was in the lead, nothing happens. So we discard these and we move on. So we are at
The bet.
the bet. So those get
For
discarded.
The invention of the white cane.
The white cane.
Specific color cane.
Well, I think that's for the
blind.
blind. I said 6s and a 7 and an 8.
I said 6, 8, 8, 7.
All right. So actually, we gotta get rid
Yep,
of these.
yeah.
All right.
It's okay.
So this was in 1931.
8.
So 8. So I'm gonna
I
get
got
1
2.
point and you get 2. All right.
But that still didn't do much to help me. So now we have the split. So the difference in years between the death of King Arthur and the appearance of Cubism.
Cubism. Wow. Okay.
When did King Arthur die?
All right. You ready? I said 1,234.
755.
All right. So we have
I don't know.
1907
Mm-hmm.
and 542.
1,365. So you'd be close.
So that would be me. So I will get to move 4.
That's not fair.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're already that far ahead.
Wow.
So in this combination, so we have the first dungeon, the invention of time zones, invention of the stapler, the creation of fashion modeling.
Ooh. Okay. So we got to put these in order. All right. You got your answers? I said 1423.
1432.
Okay. So flip these over. So we have 987. So 1 there. And then we have 1860. And we have 1867 and 1876. So 1, 4. Oh, I had those switched.
I had mine perfect order.
Wow.
Still didn't get me anywhere near getting close to you though.
Okay.
So now we have the bet is the one we're going for now. So it is the invention of cologne.
The invention of cologne.
Cologne.
Well, I said 3, 4, 4, and 5.
7576.
All right. Cologne was in 1693,
4.
which would be 4.
Wow.
So I'm going to get 2 points.
I didn't get any.
Okay. So now we are on the right date.
The invention of the television series. The TV show they used there is I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
So we got to get the right date.
I
And
feel like we should get the first 2 numbers right though.
And I do want to point out that we do have a little plus and minus wheel. This is the only time that this comes into play. So if we think it is, before the first year, then we would put negative.
If
But
you think the TV was before the first
yeah,
year,
I'm going to go
though,
with the plus on that. And if we do
mean-
happen to get the sign wrong, and this is, like I said, the only one that we use the sign, then we don't get any points, obviously. So we want the year of the television series.
Yes. Okay.
All right. I said 1948.
1953. 1951. Oh, I was 2 years off.
So you're going to get 3 points, and I will get 2 points. So
Ooh.
Yep, so
I'm
now
not
we're-
gonna be able to catch you.
Whoops.
That's the problem.
get rid of that one as well. So
That-
now we
that's
are
the
on
only
the split.
downer. No, we're not. Oh, we are on the split. Okay.
Yep, we're on the
I
split.
was looking at mine. Apple Foundation. The creation of the driver license. So how many years in between Apple and the driving license?
You got it?
Yep.
I said 74.
135.
Wow.
I don't know.
All right, so
Worth
let's
a
see.
shot.
We have 1888 and 1976.
88.
88. So that
Did
would
we
be
get
me. I would get 4 points, and looks like I crossed the finish line. So let's give Dad the timeline trophy. Well, that was a case of I got lucky, I think.
Very lucky.
You know, like you pointed out, I got way ahead. The only catch-up mechanism was there, and I was able to keep you actually from getting
Yeah. So
getting
I
spots.
couldn't.
But
I didn't have a chance really.
because I will be honest, all the other games Megan and I have played, I won one. She kicked butt in a major way in the other ones. So the fact that this one was kind of lopsided was purely luck on my part that I was able to guess some things correctly.
Well, there was one game we played. I got this completely right.
Yeah.
I
still think you cheated.
I didn't cheat.
Because you're not supposed to look at the back of the card.
I didn't look at the back of the card. I've played Timeline before. I know not to do that.
I know. Okay, so let's get to what we think. Okay, Megan, I'll let you go first this time.
I really like this game a lot. And Timeline isn't like one of my favorite games, but this definitely added so much to it because you're not just making the timeline, which it kind of gets a little dull after a couple games. You're like, there's nothing changing other than the card order popping up.
Yeah.
So this definitely adds more things to do. You're not strictly, like I said, looking at the timeline like you kind of do in the Sudden Death. You're doing so much more, and it makes it easier, I think, for you to be able to have, like, a better shot at getting the right answer, because if you get one way or the other on the timeline, you're out pretty much.
Yeah, because unlike normal timeline, this is not all about knowing when the dates are. Now, it does help.
Yes.
But, you know, there are certain things that kind of allow you to guess. You can look at the cards and the art on the cards.
Yes.
That kind of helps you a little bit. And I think that's what also the visual clue is up top during the actual timeline there. I think this feels like you're playing a board game, which obviously you are. I mean, you've got a board here. But, you know, you're moving your tokens around the board. You know, you've got different areas that are popping up. And that's going to depend on whoever is in the lead that picks whichever trial or challenge you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. What do you think about the components?
I like them. I think it's really cool. I like the little pieces. They're like remind me of Monopoly pieces. I really like this. I think this is super cool.
It is neat. You did get to put it together.
I did. I put all of them together. So I think that's super cool. And you can change them all.
And you've got your token at the top, so you know that's yours.
That's yours.
The other tokens, and I'll show those off here real quick, is you have a locomotive. So that's kind of
cool.
Yeah, it is almost.
We have a little biplane here. And then
Megan was the car, which
the little buggy looks like.
Kind of look, you know, better than the Monopoly car.
Yeah, and then there's a little ship. So we have that, and then you were
the big ship. And then we have the space shuttle here, which is kind of cool. This is probably the Enterprise, you know, that we saw at the Smithsonian.
No, maybe, yeah.
The other really cool thing is the insert here. I'll give you a closer look at that. So you can see that each of the game tokens goes in its own spot. You've got slots for different cards, so if you want to put all of your timeline cards in here from other sets, you've got multiple slots for that. You've got your space for your time wheels here, and your player guide, reference guide, which let's talk about that for a minute, because that's actually, you know, kind of nice.
It's really helpful because then you're not always consulting the rulebook. So this is what I was reading off of at the beginning of the game.
So you can see that, you know, you've got the different trials or the challenges or whatever, and they're color-coded. So it also helps distinguish between one and the other. You've got a stack of 110 cards.
Yep.
You're probably only going to go through maybe a third of them.
At least we do.
I mean, you look at the number of cards we went through here. Let me just count them real quick. We went through 23 cards.
So yeah,
so
out of 110.
And you said that you think it'd be great to have it, you know, take like the music and cinema, which is something that we're really good at, and play here. The other thing that we didn't talk about is you can play this in teams. So, you know, you could actually have 5 teams, which is, you know, kind of neat. You know, if you had a party setting,
game,
you could take a bunch of timeline cards. You don't just have to take the 110. You could take a bunch of different sets and mix them up, and you would have, you know, just ton of replayability there. So I think that's also really good. Let's talk about the board for just a second. The board itself I kind of like how everything's laid out. This is a huge board, kind of Ticket to Ride-ish as far as the size. Probably doesn't need to be this big, but it is kind of cool. I mean, you've got the neat artwork with the timeline across the top. The wheel here is very colorful, and the iconography here is very basic because question marks and numbers and just little doodads here and there, but it actually looks pretty sharp. Okay, so I think that'll wrap up our review of this. It's a really cool game. I mean, even the side of the box here, it's got the different versions of Timeline on there, which is really kind of neat. And flip it over here, show you that. Different cards, but kind of cool. So we will catch you guys next time.
Bye. Like and follow us on Facebook to stay current on our show schedule, sneak peeks at future shows, and to interact with us.